Britain's Prime Minister has announced he's having another child. Boris Johnson is expecting a baby with his now fiancée Carrie Symonds. The 31-year-old former head of communications for the Tories will be his third wife. The pair has been living at number 10 Downing Street since Johnson became Prime Minister in July last year.
For more on this, we're joined by political commentator Annabelle Sanderson, former advisor to Nigel Farage. Welcome back to the show, Annabelle. Big news.
Yeah, isn't it? Apparently they got engaged at the end of last year, but you can understand why they wanted to keep it quiet. Boris has been under an awful lot of pressure because of the floods, saying, where's Boris? Why isn't he visiting communities? I think maybe this sheds a little bit more light on the fact that he's got a young fiancée in her first trimester of her first pregnancy. But you know, I think it's exciting when people in the public eye, when there's a couple coming together and they're having a baby. I wish them well.
Absolutely, so do we, yes, expecting them. The baby in early summer. Annabelle, you mentioned the floods in the UK. Of course, we've had the devastating bushfires here in Australia where unfortunately 34 people were killed. You have an event in London on the 12th of March and a special guest.
You blindsided me on that one, I'm afraid.
Oh, no. Well, we've got the special guest, Prince Charles. He was announced this week. It's the money is being raised for the Australian Red Cross bushfire appeal. It was certainly a sellout concert that is going to be held on the 12th of... the 12th of March.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, anything that raises money for those affected by the bushfires, I think is wonderful. And it's good that the royal family are doing what I think their main point is: awareness and raising money.
And it also shows what kind of guy Prince Charles is, because a lot of people have him absolutely misdirected, and he's a very conscious of benevolence. He's been that way for the majority of his life, and still, of course, Prince Charles will no doubt be king one day. Let's get back to the discussion of the Prime Minister. It's interesting. It's his third wife. With Brexit and everything else going on, Boris Johnson, he's been a little immune to some of the sort of analysis that goes on with public figures' private lives, hasn't he?
He has a Teflon quality. Some people have it. I think Nigel Farage had it to a certain extent as well, in that what would normally maybe bring down other politicians actually increases their popularity. You know, you hear sort of tales of naughtiness with other women, with sort of, you know, complicated love lives and extended families, but actually I don't think his popularity has diminished at all through any of that. It's almost like it's like Harry was, you know, sort of proud of being a little bit naughty. You know, we want someone with a bit of personality, and fundamentally, when it comes to the Prime Minister, we want someone who will deliver on the promises made in the manifesto. And I think the December election, the result there showed that actually, you know, it's not really about we want the most perfect, never done anything wrong, grey-suited, boring person who's going to tick all the boxes. Actually, we want someone with a bit of a personality.
Prince Harry and Meghan, let's talk about these two. Of course, we're taking the word royal out of all of their branding. Yes. What sort of an impact is this going to have on them, do you think?
Well, I think that they made a big mistake when they did the long post on social media saying that actually, you know, the Queen didn't have the right to control the word royal. It's true. That only applies in the UK. It's the Cabinet Office. It's, you know, a law that says it's down to them to decide who can use the word royal, and they could use it in other countries. What came out of that was the fact that people thought that they were being very spiteful to the Queen. You know, they'd made an unprecedented decision. They took that decision and it was put into the public domain, completely blindsiding other people's press officers, blindsiding the Queen and other members of the royal family. They've been sort of doing everything on social media. They've set up this new website. Of course, now they're going to have to redo that website because they won't be allowed Sussex Royal. And now the debate is, who's going to pay for their security?
Yeah, I saw him with Bon Jovi the other day. Still does all that great work with the Invictus Games. They had the unique opportunity a couple of years ago to help do their launch and interview him. It's sort of, he seems like such a decent, reasonable guy. It's a very difficult process that he's going through right at the moment, Prince Harry, that's for sure. Just finally, just on the street, Annabelle, what is the feel of British people with regards to coronavirus, and because it's become that global, it's hit all the stock markets, it's affected everyone's vernacular, and obviously it's very, very serious health issue.
Coronavirus, I was actually in my GP surgery the other day when it was closed down because someone had come in with symptoms. Astonishingly, they were told by apparently an NHS service to go and see their GP surgery, when in fact the recommendation is to self-isolate. It's people are actually quite bemused as to why something which actually has quite a low mortality currently is so high profile. It's like, why is there all this hype behind it? I have my own beliefs in that. Fundamentally, I think that people need to remember, and I think that's the message that's really being pushed, is basic virus hygiene, hand washing. Don't go around coughing on other people. We had lots of lovely adverts on the radio saying, if you have a cough into a tissue and then pop it in the bin. I hope people would do that anyway, but it's nice that we're being reminded to. It's obviously tragic that people are dying from it, but we are in flu season here as well, and unfortunately you do get an awful lot of vulnerable people, older people, immunocompromised people who will be impacted by these kind of viruses.
Yes, absolutely. Well, stay well. Political commentator Annabelle Sanderson. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.